Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're hearing the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any section using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Core Concepts of Cognitivism in Discourse Analysis. Cognitivism offers a rich theoretical framework for discourse analysis, emphasizing the intricate relationship between cognitive processes and language interpretation. Central to this perspective are concepts like cognitive schemas, mental models, and the role of memory, which collectively influence how individuals comprehend, produce, and interact with discourse. These cognitive structures shape our perceptions and interpretations by filtering, organizing, and prioritizing information based on past experiences and cultural contexts. This article explores the core concepts of cognitivism in discourse analysis, elucidating how these mental frameworks affect our understanding of language and its impact on communication and social interaction. 1. Cognitive schemas and discourse interpretation. Core concepts of cognitivism bring a deep and nuanced understanding to the study of discourse analysis, particularly through the lens of cognitive schemas and their role in discourse interpretation. This focus reveals the intricate ways in which our pre-existing mental frameworks, comprised of knowledge, beliefs, and experiences, shape our comprehension and production of language.
1. Cognitive schemas. The foundations. Cognitive schemas are structured clusters of ideas that organize our knowledge and assumptions about the world.
They are the mental templates that guide perception, thought, and action, developed through personal experiences, cultural background, and social interactions.
Schemas include concepts as broad as societal norms and roles, stereotypes, scripts for common events, and models for abstract concepts such as justice or love. 2. Influence on discourse interpretation. The influence of cognitive schemas on discourse interpretation is profound and multifaceted. Facilitating comprehension, schemas enable individuals to make sense of complex information by providing a structure for organizing incoming data. When engaging with discourse, people rely on relevant schemas to fill in gaps, infer meanings, and anticipate where the discourse is heading, thereby streamlining cognitive processing. Guiding expectations and predictions. As individuals encounter discourse, their activated schemas shape expectations about what is relevant or likely to occur within a given context. This predictive utility helps in understanding narratives, arguments, and conversations, even when not all details are explicitly stated. Filtering and highlighting information. Schemas act as filters through which we perceive and prioritize information.
They influence what individuals notice in a discourse, what they deem important, and how they interpret ambiguities. This filtering process can lead to selective attention, where information aligning with existing schemas is more readily processed and remembered.
Framing interpretations. The way a piece of discourse is understood can vary widely depending on the schemas activated in the listener or reader. For instance, a political speech may be interpreted differently by individuals with opposing political schemas, each finding evidence within the same discourse to support their pre-existing beliefs. Cultural and social variation. Schemas are deeply embedded in cultural and social contexts, meaning that individuals from different backgrounds may possess different schemas and, consequently, interpret discourse in varied ways. This variation underscores the importance of understanding the socio-cultural background of discourse participants to fully grasp the dynamics of interpretation. Schema activation and change. Discourse not only activates schemas but can also modify them. Exposure to new information or perspectives through discourse can lead to the accommodation of existing schemas or the development of new ones, highlighting the dynamic interplay between language and cognition. 3. Applications in discourse analysis. Understanding the role of cognitive schemas in discourse interpretation enriches discourse analysis in several ways. Analyzing persuasion and ideology. By examining how discourse aligns with or challenges the audience's schemas, analysts can uncover strategies of persuasion and the propagation of ideologies.
Improving communication strategies. Insights into schema activation can inform the design of more effective communication, ensuring that messages resonate with the intended audience by aligning with or appropriately challenging their schemas.
Enhancing cross-cultural understanding. Recognizing the impact of culturally specific schemas can improve cross-cultural communication, aiding in the interpretation of discourse across different cultural contexts. In sum, the concept of cognitive schemas offers a powerful tool for understanding how individuals interpret discourse, providing a bridge between the cognitive processes of the mind and the linguistic structures of language.
This approach not only deepens our theoretical understanding of discourse but also has practical implications for improving communication across diverse contexts.
2. Mental models in discourse production and comprehension. Mental models play a pivotal role in how individuals produce and comprehend discourse, serving as dynamic cognitive constructs through which people understand, interpret, and engage with the world around them. A mental model can be thought of as a kind of cognitive simulation, a representation in the mind of real or imaginary situations, including the various elements involved and the relationships between them. In the context of discourse, mental models are crucial for processing, organizing, and making sense of information conveyed through language. 1. Construction of mental models in discourse comprehension. Building from text and context. When individuals engage with discourse, they construct mental models based on the text, spoken or written, and the context in which the discourse occurs. This involves integrating new information with existing knowledge, making inferences, and using schemas to fill in gaps, leading to a personalized, though not necessarily accurate, representation of the information presented. Dynamic updating. Mental models are not static. They are updated continually as new information is processed. During discourse comprehension, individuals revise their mental models to accommodate new data, resolve inconsistencies, and integrate insights, which allows for a deeper understanding and retention of the discourse. Role of background knowledge. The construction of mental models is heavily influenced by an individual's background knowledge, including their personal experiences, cultural background, and expertise in the subject matter. This background knowledge provides a framework that shapes how information is interpreted and how connections are made within the model. 2. Use of mental models in discourse production. Guiding content selection and organization. In producing discourse, speakers or writers rely on mental models to select which information to include and how to organize it effectively. This process involves considering the audience's knowledge and expectations, the goals of the discourse, and how best to convey the intended message. Facilitating coherence and cohesion. Mental models help ensure that discourse is coherent and cohesive, guiding the discourse producer in connecting ideas logically and maintaining thematic consistency. This coherence is achieved through the strategic use of linguistic cues and structures that reflect the underlying mental model. Adapting to audience and context. Effective discourse production involves tailoring one's mental model to align with the anticipated models of the audience. This includes using language and examples that are accessible to the audience, addressing potential questions or objections, and emphasizing information that is likely to resonate with the listener's or reader's own models. 3. Impact of mental models on discourse interpretation. Influence on perception and attention. Mental models influence what individuals notice in a discourse and how they prioritize information. Elements of the discourse that align with the constructed mental model are more likely to be remembered and deemed important. Interpretive framework. Mental models provide a framework for interpreting the meanings of words, sentences, and larger discourse structures. They help individuals understand implied meanings, make predictions about what will come next, and infer the speaker's or writer's intentions. Cross-cultural and interpersonal differences. Variations in mental models across different cultural and social backgrounds can lead to divergent interpretations of the same discourse. Understanding these differences is crucial for effective communication and interpretation in multicultural settings. In conclusion,
mental models are central to both the production and comprehension of discourse, shaping how information is constructed, conveyed, and understood. By exploring how individuals build and use these models, researchers in discourse analysis can gain deeper insights into the cognitive processes underlying language use, enhancing our understanding of communication practices and strategies for effective discourse across various contexts.
3. The role of memory in discourse. The role of memory in discourse processing is foundational, encompassing various types of memory that interact to facilitate the comprehension, production, and retention of discourse. Memory is not a unitary system but a complex interplay of different processes that together enable individuals to encode, store, and retrieve linguistic and contextual information. Understanding these types and their implications reveals much about how we navigate and make sense of continuous streams of discourse. 1.
Types of memory involved in discourse processing. Sensory memory. This is the earliest stage of memory, where sensory information is stored for a very brief period.
In discourse processing, sensory memory allows for the initial registration of linguistic sounds or visual symbols before they are passed on to working memory for more detailed processing. Working memory, short-term memory, critical for discourse processing. Working memory temporarily holds and manipulates information.
It comprises several components, including the phonological loop, which processes verbal information, the visio-spatial sketchpad, which processes visual and spatial information, and the central executive, which oversees attention and cognitive processes.
Working memory is where immediate comprehension of discourse takes place, allowing for the analysis of syntax, semantics, and the integration of new information with existing knowledge from long-term memory. Long-term memory. This type of memory is crucial for storing and retrieving knowledge that informs discourse processing, including episodic memory, records of personal experiences that provide a context for interpreting discourse. It helps individuals relate new information to past experiences, aiding in comprehension and engagement with narrative structures. Semantic memory. A store of general world knowledge, concepts, facts, and the meanings of words and phrases. Semantic memory is vital for understanding the content of discourse and for the production of coherent and contextually appropriate language. Procedural memory. Knowledge of how to perform various cognitive and motor tasks, including the rules of grammar and the procedures for constructing sentences. While not directly involved in the content of discourse, procedural memory underlies the ability to produce and comprehend language fluently. 2. Implications of memory processes in discourse. Comprehension and coherence. Working memory's role in holding information temporarily and integrating it with long-term memory resources is essential for understanding and maintaining the coherence of discourse over time. The ability to remember and connect earlier parts of a discourse with later parts is crucial for overall comprehension. Inference making. The integration of information from working memory with knowledge stored in long-term memory facilitates inference making, allowing individuals to fill in gaps and understand implicit meanings in discourse. Discourse production. Memory is vital for the production of discourse, as it provides the linguistic resources, words, phrases, grammatical structures, and content ideas. Efficient retrieval of information from long-term memory, managed by working memory, is necessary for fluent and coherent speech or writing. Learning and adaptation. The interaction between working memory and long-term memory in discourse processing is a basis for learning. New information encountered in discourse can be encoded into long-term memory, contributing to the expansion of knowledge and the adaptation of existing cognitive schemas. Individual differences. Variations in memory capacity and efficiency among individuals can lead to differences in discourse processing abilities. For example, individuals with higher working memory capacity may find it easier to follow complex arguments or retain the coherence of long narratives. In summary, memory plays a critical role in discourse processing across multiple dimensions. By facilitating the temporary storage and manipulation of information, as well as the retrieval of relevant knowledge and experiences, memory systems underpin our ability to understand,
produce, and engage with discourse in meaningful ways.
Conclusion.
This comprehensive exploration into the realms of cognitive schemas, mental models, and memory in discourse processing illuminates the intricate interplay between cognitive processes and language use. Cognitive schemas and mental models provide the foundational structures that guide our understanding, interpretation, and production of discourse, influenced by our accumulated knowledge, beliefs, and cultural backgrounds. These cognitive frameworks not only shape how we perceive and engage with the world but also how we communicate our perceptions and experiences to others. Meanwhile, memory plays a pivotal role in enabling the comprehension, production, and retention of discourse, acting as the bedrock upon which cognitive schemas and mental models operate. The interconnection among these cognitive elements underscores the complexity of language processing and highlights the significance of understanding these processes for enhancing communication, facilitating cross-cultural understanding, and fostering effective discourse analysis. Together, they offer a profound insight into the cognitive underpinnings of language, providing a lens through which we can better comprehend the dynamics of human communication and the potential for growth and change in our interpretive frameworks.
Frequently asked questions. What are cognitive schemas?
Cognitive schemas are structured clusters of pre-existing knowledge, beliefs, and experiences that organize our understanding of the world. They act as mental templates guiding our perception, thought, and action, shaped by personal experiences, cultural background, and social interactions. How do cognitive schemas influence discourse interpretation? Schemas influence discourse interpretation by facilitating comprehension, guiding expectations and predictions, filtering and highlighting information, and framing interpretations. They enable individuals to make sense of complex information, predict narrative developments, and interpret ambiguities based on pre-existing mental frameworks.
Can exposure to new discourse change cognitive schemas?
Yes, exposure to new information or perspectives through discourse can modify existing schemas or lead to the development of new ones. This highlights the dynamic relationship between language and cognition, where discourse can influence and reshape our mental frameworks. How are cognitive schemas applied in discourse analysis? In discourse analysis, cognitive schemas help analyze persuasion and ideology, improve communication strategies, and enhance cross-cultural understanding. By examining how discourse aligns with or challenges audiences' schemas, analysts can uncover deeper insights into communication practices and strategies. What are mental models in the context of discourse? Mental models are dynamic cognitive constructs that represent our understanding of real or imagined situations. They play a crucial role in how individuals produce and comprehend discourse, serving as a framework for processing, organizing, and making sense of information conveyed through language. How do mental models affect discourse production? In discourse production, mental models guide content selection, organization, ensure coherence and cohesion, and adapt communication to align with the audience's knowledge and expectations. They facilitate the logical connection of ideas and thematic consistency, tailoring messages to be more effective and resonant. Can mental models lead to different interpretations of the same discourse? Yes, variations in mental models, particularly those influenced by cultural and social backgrounds, can result in divergent interpretations of the same discourse. Recognizing and understanding these differences is crucial for effective communication across diverse contexts.
What types of memory are involved in discourse processing? Discourse processing involves sensory memory, brief storage of sensory information, working memory, temporary holding and manipulation of information, and long-term memory, storage and retrieval of knowledge.
Each plays a distinct role in comprehending, producing, and retaining discourse. How does memory facilitate discourse comprehension? Memory supports discourse comprehension by allowing for the temporary storage of information in working memory, integrating it with long-term memory resources, and enabling the understanding and coherence of discourse over time.
It also aids in inference making and understanding implicit meanings.
Why is memory important for discourse production? Memory provides the linguistic resources and content ideas necessary for discourse production. Efficient retrieval of information from long-term memory, managed by working memory, is essential for producing fluent and coherent speech or writing. Do individual differences in memory affect discourse processing? Yes. Variations in memory capacity and efficiency among individuals can lead to differences in their ability to process discourse.
For instance, those with higher working memory capacity may more easily follow complex arguments or retain the coherence of lengthy narratives.